Yo, what is up guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So this video is a quick preview of Matchroom Fight Camp Week 1. This goes down on the 31st of July and it takes place in Eddie Hearn's back garden in Brentwood, Essex. This will be televised on DAZN in the US and in the UK. Now, we shall start with the main event, which is Conor Benn versus Adrian Granados. Now, Conor Benn, obviously still relatively inexperienced, not much of an amateur background, and essentially with Conor Benn, it is a case of learning on the job. Now, I've enjoyed the way he's been moved in the last 12 to 18 months. I think his previous two opponents made a lot of sense. Sebastian Formela, good European level guy, and Samuel Vargas, a tested trial horse kind of thing. So I've not had a problem with Conor Benn's last couple of opponents, but as for Adrian Granados, well, it all depends on what Adrian Granados you're going to get. I mean, in his last couple of fights, Granados seemed to have slowed down, to be honest. Back in the day, Granados would always give his opponents a tough night's work, even when he lost. I mean, go back and watch the Sean Porter fight, for example. He gave Sean Porter a pretty hard night's work. I felt he beat Adrian Broner. He obviously beat Amir Imam, who was a hyped prospect at one point in time. When Adrian Granados is at his best, he can actually give decent guys a tough fight, and he's one of those guys where he'll expose you if you're not up to a certain level. But the problem is with this fight, for me, is that from what I've seen of Granados in the last couple of fights, it looks like he's past his best. If it was the same Granados from 3 or 4 years ago, this would actually be a decent fight and a decent test. I'm just not convinced that that version of Granados exists anymore. If he does, this is actually a pretty decent fight for Conor Benn, a good learning fight, a good test. But like I say, I'm not convinced that that version of Adrian Granados exists. So all in all, this fight in particular, not really sure how to feel about it. It's okay, I guess, for Conor Benn at this stage. Like I said, inexperienced, blah-de-blah-de-blah. So it's okay, but ultimately, at this point in time, the hype around Conor Benn is starting to grow quite rapidly, I would say. And, you know, you've got guys like David Avanesian out there, even the likes of Michael McKinson, who would make for very interesting fights. And the sound from Eddie Hearn and Team Matchroom is that Conor Benn's not going to be in those fights anytime soon. I mean, Eddie Hearn said at the Matchroom Fight Camp, I think it was the Fight Camp announcement, Eddie Hearn basically said that Conor Benn's not going to be in 50-50 fights anytime soon because his numbers are too good. The numbers he's generating are just too good to risk at the moment. So, yeah, I mean, it's okay, but is it worthy of headlining a show? In my opinion, not really, but it is what it is. We also have a world title fight between Can Xu versus Lee Wood. This is at featherweight. Now, this actually might be the WBA regular title. I know Can Xu was the regular champion, but I'm not sure whether Leo Santa Cruz still holds the full version of that title. Nevertheless, Can Xu versus Lee Wood at featherweight, I should say, should be a pretty fun fight. Can Xu is not a big puncher, but he applies a lot of pressure, he throws a lot of punches, and he's the sort of guy who tries to outwork you. Fun style to watch. Lee Wood is more of a counter-puncher, but he's not really operated above British/European level, so this is a big step up for Lee Wood. Lee Wood looked good in his last fight against Reece Mould, but Reece Mould is no Can Xu. I would expect Can Xu to win this either on points by outworking Lee Wood, maybe even by a late stoppage. I know Can Xu doesn't have the most knockouts in the world, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Can Xu overwhelm Lee Wood late on. But nevertheless, you've got a volume guy in Can Xu who likes to come forwards against a counterpuncher in Lee Wood who can crack a bit. So I think stylistically this one actually should be quite a good fight, and I am somewhat looking forward to it. So decent fight there between Can Xu and Lee Wood. In my opinion, this right here is the best fight on the card. Cruiserweight fight, Tommy McCarthy versus Chris Smith. This is for the European, Commonwealth and British Cruiserweight titles, so tying up domestically in this fight. Really good fight. Tommy McCarthy in recent times has basically come back from the brink. At one point in time it looked like he was basically going to fade into obscurity, but he's come back with a few good wins, become the European champion, and Tommy McCarthy right now is looking as good as he's looked in years. And Chris Smith is a solid domestic level operator. I think he's getting better with each fight. He can crack a bit. I think this one stylistically is going to be interesting to watch. I think Tommy McCarthy naturally is the more talented outboxer, better feet, he can stick and move kind of thing. But Chris Smith, I believe, is naturally stronger, and it looks like he hits harder. And I believe he'll be the aggressor in this fight. So I think this fight right here between Tommy McCarthy and Chris Smith is evenly contested. Basically a 50-50 in my opinion. A lot of people, though, I see are picking Tommy McCarthy, but I'll be honest, I'm kind of leaning towards Chris Smith by knockout. Maybe one of those fights where he's losing on the cards, lands a good shot, and basically finishes Tommy McCarthy. But all in all, this is a good fight. Genuinely a really, really good domestic fight. And, the winner maybe can move on to challenge at a higher level. But that's a really good fight right there. Best fight on the card, in my opinion. Tommy McCarthy, Chris Smith. I'll definitely watch that one. You've also got the return of Anthony Fowler. I mean, to tell you the truth, I've been thoroughly bored with Anthony Fowler's career apart from the Scott Fitzgerald fight. That's the only fight he's given me what I've cared about. The rest of his career, you can take it or leave it. Low-level opponents. And, Rico Muller isn't exactly a household name. He's not a great fighter. I have seen Rico Muller fight before, but I'm thinking where? Okay. So yeah, he fought Ponce, the guy who beat Lewis Ritson. And he lost that fight by a majority decision. And he got stopped by... That's a fight I've seen him in. I saw the Jeff Horn fight, yeah. And he got stopped in that fight. So yeah, Rico Muller is a guy who's been campaigning at super lightweight and welterweight. And he's fighting Anthony Fowler at 154. A big super welterweight, by the way, Anthony Fowler. So Anthony Fowler more than likely will squash Rico Muller. Don't really care about that fight. Let's briefly take a quick look at Anthony Fowler's resume. This is what I'm talking about. Adam Harper, Jorge Fortea, Theophilus Tete, Harry Scarf, a shot Brian Rose. I mean, since the Scott Fitzgerald fight, he's done absolutely nothing. And even before then, he done absolutely nothing. So, Anthony Fowler, he can get in the bin as far as I'm concerned. You've got an interesting fight, though, at super middleweight. Avni Yildirim versus Jack Cullen. Jesus Christ, Avni Yildirim, by the way. This guy went from fighting in Miami at the Hard Rock Stadium against Canelo Alvarez to fighting in Eddie Hearn's back garden in the space of one fight. So what a fall from grace that is. But nevertheless, Jack Cullen versus Avni Yildirim, for what it is, should be a fun fight. Neither one of these guys is going to be a threat at world level, even fringe world level. But, Avni Yildirim, naturally an aggressive guy. Jack Cullen himself likes to take risks. He'll trade with you. So put these two guys in the ring. It's going to be a good little trade fight. It's a good fight. It's a fun fight. Again, no real consequences on the division, but in terms of pure entertainment and a back and forth type of fight, I think we're going to get a good one here. So yeah, Avni Yildirim versus Jack Cullen, not a bad fight. You've also got the return of Campbell Hatton. Big wow, he's fighting a guy called Jakub Laskowski. I guess it's a step up in some sense, because the guys Campbell Hatton's fought so far, neither one of them have got a win. At least this guy has a few wins. We can say that much. But as you can see, not really beat anybody of any consequence. So, another gimme fight for Campbell Hatton. I'm not particularly interested in Campbell Hatton's career. I don't really like his style. Not for me personally. And you also have a female fight the debut of Sandy Ryan. You guys know me. I could care less about female boxing. I don't like it, never will like it. I'll never cover it on this channel unless I'm doing some sort of parody or piss take. You're not going to get that content on this channel. But yeah, I mean, all in all, Matchroom Fight Camp Week 1, it's solid, it's okay, it's bordering on decent. But basically what it is, it's a regular Sky Sports show with a bit more quantity. That's really what this show is, and that's okay. I'm looking forward to it to a certain degree, but, Eddie Hearn, before this announcement, was like, oh, game changed. Like something special was going to happen. It's a decent card, nothing more, nothing less. Anyway, share your thoughts below. It's been your guy Delboy.